Hello, and welcome to another episode of Critical Weight Theory. And today I'm talking about animals. I'm pretending to be an animal expert. Well, I'm not talking about cryptids this time or mythological creatures. I'm talking about real animals that either exist right now or have existed in the history of the earth. Yes, today we're talking about a surprisingly common pattern in predators, both living and extinct. It's a dental setup where teeth are concentrated toward the front of the jaws, while the back of the mouth has fewer teeth or none at all. I'm going to pretend to be an animal expert, basically. But I have done a little bit of research, I've compiled some facts, and hopefully it will be an interesting episode. So, at first glance, what I described might sound like a strange limitation. Why give up teeth where you could use them? But across many predatory lineages, this pattern shows up again and again, and actually for good reasons. You can see it in modern crocodilians, in toothed pterosaurs, in deep sea predators like abyssal fish, and in extinct animals such as phytosaurs, spinosaurids, and even some early dinosaurs like Dilophosaurus. In some cases, the pattern is complete, with teeth only at the front. In others, it's partial, limited to the very front of the jaws. What unites these animals isn't ancestry, it's function. So let's start with the crocodilians. Crocs and alligators have a classic snap trap feeding style. When they strike, they're not chewing, they're grabbing. The long conical teeth at the front of the jaws are perfect for seizing prey and holding it in place, even if it's thrashing violently. Once the prey is secured, the job of the back of the jaw changes. Instead of slicing, the posterior part of the skull is built for power. Massive jaw muscles close the mouth with incredible force, allowing crocodilians to crush bone or tear flesh using movements like the famous death roll, which is kind of badass. Having fewer or no teeth at the back reduces interference and allows that force to be transmitted efficiently. And just for the record, if you're like me, you want to know some of the differences between crocs and alligators. Well, I did a little bit of a fresh reminder. I looked it up just to be sure, and alligators have the shorter snout. That's one of the key differences, actually. Crocodiles tend to have longer snouts. So, a little bit of a fun bit of trivia regarding the basic difference between the two. The aforementioned spinosaurids show a similar idea applied in a different environment. And if you need to know, spinosaurids, they were large crocodile snouted dinosaurs that spent much of their time hunting fish. In their long, narrow rostrums, teeth are densest toward the front. This concentrates sensory input and gripping ability right where prey is first intercepted. Reducing teeth toward the rear likely helped in a few ways. It would have reduced drag in the water, lowered structural stress on the skull during struggling captures, and kept the jaw lighter and more efficient. In other words, the front of the mouth does the catching, the rest supports the action. Now things get especially interesting when we look at Dilophosaurus. Unlike Spinosaurids, Dilophosaurus only shows this pattern partially. The front of its jaws has a tooth rosette, where the teeth interlock tightly, while farther back the teeth change shape and function. This partial arrangement suggests something transitional or specialized. Dilophosaurus wasn't a dedicated fish eater, but it wasn't limited to one prey type either. The front of the jaws was expanded and reinforced, much like what we see in Spinosaurids. So there you go, you got that information. And this rosette, combined with a strengthened symphysis where the two halves of the lower jaw meet, would have been excellent for grabbing smaller, slippery prey, including fish. So, yeah, the more you know. And for a long time, researchers thought the subnarial gap in the skull, the space between the premaxilla and maxilla, made the jaw weak. But newer studies showed the skull was actually quite robust. The teeth were doing different jobs in different places. Front teeth were plucking, gripping, and initial capture. That's what they were for. And farther back, the teeth became larger and laterally compressed, better suited for slicing flesh or delivering killer bites. And this wasn't just theory. Bite marks found on the bones of the herbivorous dinosaur Ceratosaurus, discovered in the same quarry as Dilophosaurus, show punctures consistent with strong jaws capable of biting into bone. That means Dilophosaurus could handle larger terrestrial prey and probably scavenged when the opportunity arose. Its forelimbs reinforce this picture as well. Dilophosaurus had long, powerful arms with sharp claws and a slightly opposable thumb. The range of motion wasn't unlimited, but it was ideal for grabbing prey close to the chest and holding it securely. This suggests a hunting style where the arms and jaws worked together. The hands seized and controlled prey while the jaws did the processing, or something like that. Put all of this together, and Dilophosaurus starts to look like a highly active, adaptable predator, not a specialist locked into one feeding strategy, but an agile hunter capable of eating fish, small animals, and larger prey when necessary. So when we see teeth clustered at the front of the jaw or missing at the back, it's not a flaw. It's actually more like a signal. It tells us where the critical interaction with prey happened and what the animal needed its skull to do. Whether it's a crocodile performing a death roll, a spinosaurid snapping up fish, or Dilophosaurus combining grasping hands with a versatile bite, front loaded dentition is all about efficiency, control, and specialization where it matters most. And sometimes the absence of teeth tells us just as much as their presence. So, yeah, keep that in mind.